Happy New Year and welcome to the Piledriver Podcast 2021 with myself, Dynamite Dave Abbott, and the surgeon, Gav Collingwood. Gav, how are we?
I'm tired, but I've got a week off work, so I'm good.
Yay! Absolute result. I'm absolutely shattered, mate, as well. But I think the fact that I've just had a pizza and a portion and a half of chips hasn't helped. So, yes, I've only got myself to blame for that one. So it's the first show of the Piledriver Podcast of 2021. And we've got a really, really good main event that we have never discussed on the Piledriver Podcast before today. But first things first, Gav, how was Christmas and New Year for yourself?
Busy.
Busy,
but
yes,
quiet.
busy but quiet, yeah. Probably, I'd say the same at our end, really. Obviously, lockdown and all that lot. We didn't, submit to the government, have friends and family over for Christmas Day, so we just kept it the four of us. But nevertheless, it absolutely flew by, so all good stuff.
And you didn't spread death and decay, which is just even better.
What's that, sorry?
You didn't spread death and decay.
No, that's it. I mean, they say Christmas is a time for sharing, but I felt like being a bit selfish this year and not spreading any death and decay and any corona or noroviruses this year. So, yeah.
Just norovirus instead.
Absolutely. But there was, sadly, some shocking news in the wrestling world over Christmas, as we found out over here on Boxing Day. Was the sad passing of John Huber, a.k.a. Brody Lee, a.k.a. Luke Harper as well, from the Wyatt family during his WWE stint. And I think before I get your take on it, Gav, I think one of the things that I found what I thought was done really, really well in terms of all this was how well that his family and AEW kept all this under wraps for so long, knowing how poorly he was, how ill he was, and and how they were already prepared for the worst, even though 99% of the wrestling world, including fans, had no idea about it. So what was your take on it all, obviously, when you first found out?
I didn't believe it to begin with. I thought, it's another piss take, this got an angle or something, but yeah, shocking, really. That's completely out of the blue.
And at the age of 41 as well, I mean, it's no age, is it? I mean, somebody who's still in the prime of their wrestling career. As we know, if The Undertaker and a few others are anything to go by, if you look after yourself well enough and pace yourself well enough, you can have an active wrestling career into your sort of mid-50s. And at the age of 41, and just really coming into that role of being the exalted one in AEW, and just the chemistry between him and John Silver and Reynolds on being the elite, it was just absolutely incredible. And it's not just his wrestling prowess, but the things that he did on the mic as well and backstage are going to be sorely missed, aren't they, for all wrestling fans?
Yeah, I think it's the only wrestler I've ever heard of but no one says a single bad word about. There's always at least one thing that one wrestler will say about someone, like, oh, they did this, they did that, but there's never anything about him.
You can't find anything negative about him, can you? And that's just testament to him. And when you see him when he's being interviewed, when he's not in character as well, you could tell what the business of wrestling meant to him, what being a parent and being a husband meant to him as well. And that's been echoed by everybody who worked with him, who knew him, who grew up with him. And just a really, really sad shame. But I think it's absolutely fantastic. The Brody Lee tribute night as well, what AEW did, where everybody just stayed in character but dropped all storylines that were kicking around up to that point as well. And the fact that Negative One, Brody Lee Jr., got to choose the participants for the main event, and has now bagged himself a little feud with somebody who's not that much taller than him in Marco's stunt as well, no less. So
sorry, yeah. He's got the height
I think it might be
advantage.
Marco's hair might be the height difference maybe on that, and his cap. But absolutely amazing. And I don't know what you thought, Gal, but I thought it was a really, um, it was amazing to watch the Brody Lee tribute on AEW, but it was quite heavy at points as well when his wife Amanda was in the ring, and obviously both his sons, and Brody Lee Jr. was with his in his Dark Order mask, and you know the bit with the TNT title at the end as well. It was amazing viewing, but you could tell how heavy it was and everybody participating as well, couldn't you?
Yeah, it's the best tribute show I've ever seen. Like the excuse that WWE made of one and just like mentioned a couple of slogans. It's just, you don't quit.
Apparently, they didn't want to upshow AEW. I don't know if that's been said official, but the rumor mill saying that they didn't want to upshow or outshine AEW with a
They've done that
tribute.
for a year now.
I was going to say, yeah. So especially when it comes to Wednesday night. So, but I still think there could have been something a little bit more that WWE could have done in terms of his footage. Because for me, one of the best ever tag matches I've seen in the last 10 years, without question, was the first time the Shield faced off against the Wyatt family. It was an absolutely, do you know, it was the first time in years I genuinely had an adrenaline rush in the build-up to that match where they both started coming to the ring together, and then both teams stood in the ring and faced off against each other. And it was the first time in a long time I thought, you know what, I'm genuinely excited, and I don't care who wins, because you're rooting for both teams, because they were both those factions were absolute showstoppers at the time. And I do think WWE could have gone a little bit more, showed a bit more of the Bludgeon Brothers winning the tag titles, the achievements that the Wyatt family did as well, Luke Harper on his own, you know. But I think AEW just said it all, really. I mean, in their tribute with AEW, I don't know if you noticed, but there was footage of Bray Wyatt as well, and some other WWE stars within the photographs as well. So, yeah, sad note to start off, really, for the first podcast of the year. But even though we did put stuff on our Facebook page at the time, I just think, I just think the guy deserves some recognition on the podcast.
Definitely, it's going to be weird without him.
Very strange. It'll be interesting to see where the Dark Order goes from here. But it's also going to be, for me, it's a big chunk of the comedy from being the Elite as well, because you know, it won't be the same now if somebody gets the papers. You know, it just won't be the same now.
Retire the papers now.
If we're going to have to retire the papers, and you know, someone's going to have to leave. You know, it won't be the same if someone leaves John Silver hanging for a high five when they won the belt. You know, just a golden moment in AEW history. Anything else you've got to add on that, Gav?
There's only one person that's allowed to say little bitch as well now.
And that is?
My mind is blanked. What is her name? 99.
Anna Jay.
That's it.
Yes.
I don't remember Anna Jay's name.
I'm sure she'll absolutely blast you with that for this and the following years to come as well.
She'll probably tell that I'm a little bitch for not remembering her name now.
That's right. Anna.
Anna Banana.
And a banana. Right then, so we're going to go on to tonight's main event, which is something that I think every wrestling fan failed to ignore. And this is, I'd say, certainly over the past 5, maybe 6 years, the rise of women's wrestling in mainstream wrestling events, so such as WWE on Raw and SmackDown and NXT, as well as AEW and Impact Wrestling and New Japan Wrestling as well. So, you know, women's wrestling now, whereas before it used to be very, very gimmicky. It used to be all about the sex symbol side of it.
Bra and panties matches.
Yeah, bra and panties matches. It was quite misogynistic. It was all.
It was
it was very misogynistic. It was all Jerry Lawler coming out, ooh, show me the puppies and all this lot, and you know. Whereas now, when you watch women's wrestling, and I think the turning point for me was when Paige first came onto the scene in WWE, and she became the youngest ever women's champion in WWE history. making a debut and win the title from AJ. From then onwards, you started to see others come to the fore. Like you had, not every wrestler had to be a beach model. You had the likes of Ronda Rousey coming in from UFC, Shayna Baszler, who's well known for her MMA style of fighting, Nia Jax as well, just for pure size and power, as well as
injuring the wrestlers,
and really injuring wrestlers as well. To obviously, the more athletic and sort of freestyling wrestlers, who did come from wrestling pedigrees, such as your Charlotte Flairs and Natalias, but they didn't just come in there based on their family's history. These women can actually wrestle. They can put on a show. They can go 10, 15, 20 minutes in a match, singles competitions and tag competitions as well. You've got the likes of, is it the Iconics as well? Used to be the Iconics. Obviously now they've gone the separate ways, and it's more and more now where they're actually, women are now getting taken more seriously as wrestlers, as opposed to just eye candy, and to be taken and to be made fun of,
and just for the matches as well. Any particular sort of female wrestlers that have stood out for yourself in recent years, Gav, where you've just gone, actually, that there's something in this wrestler here. There's something more than just looks and marketing appeal? I'll have to go back to the early 2000s, really, when there was three or four female wrestlers in WWE. That was Lita, Trish Stratus, and Chyna.
Yeah.
They were the only ones that were taken seriously in it. The rest were just...
Definitely.
Oh, look at them, they're doing bra and panties match again.
Yeah.
You're frozen a bit there.
Chyna, was she the first... Was Chyna the first woman to ever enter the Battle Royal as well? Royal Rumble.
As far as I remember, and the first female to win the Intercontinental Championship as well.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And again, she wasn't a woman where it was brought out necessarily for image. She was a bodybuilder. She was a personal trainer, and she could also wrestle. And in her prime as well, she wouldn't think twice about squaring up to any of the blokes as well, whether it was her and Eddie Guerrero, or when she was in DX, or when she was on her own doing singles competitions. So I think Chyna's a great example. In terms of Lita, then, what do you think? What do you think that Lita brought to the table that's maybe paved the way for some of the female wrestlers now?
Tough question. It's like she was the first one, apart from Chyna, that actually showed a more physical side to the matches, rather than just being, oh look, I've got tits. Because that's all the female wrestling seemed to be for like years before that.
Yeah.
Whereas now they're actually taking as performers rather than just, like I said, just eye candy. And she's a good musician as well.
Absolutely, as well. Yeah, she is actually. Yeah, a band are pretty cool, aren't they? When you listen to some of the stuff, if anybody hasn't checked out any of the stuff yet, do have a look on YouTube. Have you actually been to see her band? Have you seen them play live, Gav?
Yes, I did. Back in 2007, 2008 in Swansea. Of all places, one of the last gigs they did.
Swansea.
The Lucha
and who were they supporting?
No, they were the main actual.
Oh, they were the headline act, weren't they? Oh, fantastic! Even better.
They were good.
That is absolutely awesome.
I don't know why they quit, because they had a bad tour.
Oh, really?
So I was one of the last people to see them play live, apparently.
Right. So did they quit then basically because they just didn't sell many tickets and stuff then? Or?
Yeah, they just had a really bad tour, so trying to find out when that gig was.
I think bringing it up to nowadays for me, one of the other reasons why we really wanted to do something about women's wrestling is this week, I think I've seen the best ever singles competition between two female wrestlers ever. And I'm hoping there are other matches like it as well. What's that? Sorry, 2008?
Yeah, it's 2008. The something early October 2008. I found a video of it as well.
Excellent. You were there, man.
I was there.
The match that I saw, the match in question was.
Everything.
Hey, that's even better. Never going to watch that.
And a signed CD that I've lost.
Did you?
Yeah, I lost it years ago.
Oh, gutted, man. You should put that on eBay. Worth a small fortune, that now. But yeah, the match in question that I saw that really sort of made my mind up this week to say, do you know what? Wouldn't it be cool if we spoke about women's wrestling? Was NXT New Year's Evil. Now, we know that NXT is slowly but surely getting squashed by AEW. And,
slightly.
You know, rightly so as well. I mean, AEW is absolutely on fire at the moment. But the Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Gonzalez match, if anybody hasn't seen that match, you need to get on it. It is absolutely brutal, no holes barred. And I've never seen two female competitors just be that aggressive towards each other in a match. I mean, you've got some really, really good, aggressive female wrestlers out there, like in AEW, you've got the likes of Abaddon, Big Swole, Britt Baker as well, who's quite an aggressive wrestler, Awesome Kong as well, to name but a few. But this match, and obviously Shida as well, who is the AEW Women's Champion, you know, genuinely aggressive, hard-hitting female wrestlers. But you've got to get onto that Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Gonzalez match because it is absolutely brutal. They're throwing everything, and I mean literally everything at each other. And I thought, you know what? Although it's been on the increase, I think that particular match is going to kick open a lot of doors now in terms of women wrestlers looking at that and thinking, do you know what? We need to get on that. We need to do something like that for our brand or for our next match or the pay-per-views as well, because it was absolutely incredible. Have you seen any footage of that match yet, Gav?
I've watched bits of it, and I haven't had a chance to watch NXT yet because I try and avoid it unless it's I know it's going to be a good show. So I'll pick my side for Wednesdays.
Absolutely, honestly, just watch that match. Just get it. You can YouTube it, or you can get it on the WWE Network. Get onto that match. $9.99, yeah. So yeah, get onto that because it was absolutely incredible. Again, Abaddon versus Shida at AEW's New Year's Bash. Again, was a brilliant match. Very, very brutal. Abaddon. Think she's been watching a lot of John Silver because Abaddon hungry. She's doing a lot of biting. She's doing a lot of biting in recent matches against Shida, and drew blood once again in this match. So again, another very, very good, very aggressive match. And I've been a big fan of Abaddon. I think Abaddon's got a great image. It's unique. It's completely different to anything and anybody else on the roster.
It's a female
fiend. Yeah, that's it. It's like a female fiend. And I think if she got maybe some clever backstory building up, I think that's another women's champion in the making is Abaddon. Again, other sort of female stars that I think I'm expecting to see big things from this year as well is Dark Order's 99, which is Anna Jay. I'm expecting her. She only started wrestling 18 months ago as well.
And
yeah.
Again, it was Brody that said keep her because she can be good.
Yeah, and Brody, God rest his soul, he did say, didn't he? He was a big fan and took her under his wing. And you can tell that week in, week out, she is getting better. I'm also a massive fan of others on the roster as well. But Gab, is there any ones that you think are sort of sticking out or were great back in the day or have still got a lot of potential going forward or you just think are sort of coming into their own?
I think the Librarian's getting a lot of good attention. Leave a bit. She's
Yes.
very experienced, but she also, if she was given more time on anything apart from Dark, it'd be a lot better.
Yeah, I think
But she's
so.
got a hell
Yeah,
of a run going
definitely.
on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, not only does she do things in terms of, like, she's very, very active on Twitter, she does a lot of things in terms of the gaming world, and she's got that gaming banter going with what's his name? Miro,
Yeah.
and Penelope Ford. But slowly, week in, week out, I think she's starting to become a better wrestler as well. And she's starting to improve. And I believe once upon a time, she was in NXT as well, was Leva Bates, for a short period of time. So it's good to see her not just being Pete and Brandon Cutler's manager, and now that they've obviously gone their separate ways, she's now able to showcase her skills as well. Any other ones that sort of stick out for you, Gav?
They're the ones that really stick out for me, like Abaddon and Leva. They could have some great matches in the future, but they've got to build the experience up now. I think that's why it's lacking at the moment for some of them. It's just lack of experience and exposure.
Yeah, and I think as well that they need regular runouts. Like you say, it's not going to be just about Dark. They've got to be able to plug these as well and push these on to the main roster. I mean, you've got Diamante as well, fantastic wrestler.
Thunder Rosa
as well. I mean, Diamante, she's in a tag team with her own partner, isn't she? A real life partner, Ivelisse Velez. They're actually real life partners, and the tag team chemistry between them both is absolutely fantastic in AEW. You've also got the likes of Dasha Gonzalez as well. So there's so many talented wrestlers. Thunder Rosa as well, just recently come back from injury, I believe.
Yeah, she was out for a while, wasn't she?
Is that right, Gary? Yeah, she's gone for a while, and she's come back into it. But
hopefully
I think
soon Chris Statlander's coming back as well.
She's
a phenomenal wrestler.
So many good wrestlers as well. Let's move on to WWE now in terms of what their current roster's like, because we've covered, some of the ones that we've enjoyed in AEW. Obviously, Penelope Ford as well. There's another one who I think could confidently break out on her own and be a good singles competitor in AEW. But if we go on to WWE, are there any superstars on there that's sort of sticking out for you, Gab, or you think ones that are really going to come into their own and have a good 2021?
I mean, Asuka's a hell of a wrestler, obviously, but
she's fantastic,
she
isn't she?
should not be in a tag team. It's not working at all, I don't think.
What do you think the reason is behind putting Charlotte Flair and Asuka together?
Is there ever a reasoning?
I think because Charlotte Flair was out for 6 months, wasn't she? It was like a shocking return. She's back into it. Let's put her in a tag team with the women's champion, and then they beat Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, don't they, for the women's tag team championships? I'm looking at it week in, week out, and when I'm watching Raw on that particular storyline, I'm just waiting for Charlotte Flair to screw over Asuka. Again. Because she's absolutely gunning to be the women's champion again. And you just that heel turn from Charlotte Flair, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens at Mania, the heel turn. Yeah. They might drop the tag team titles a week or two before, and I think there'll be a big heel turn where Charlotte Flair, there'll be some sort of screw job going on or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Because they're teasing the heat, aren't they, between Ric Flair and Charlotte Flair at the moment. And I think it's all a ruse. And I think the the master of styling and profiling, is going to help his daughter screw over Asuka to become the women's champion again.
Whilst also a tag partner.
Yeah, and I think they'll end up dropping the titles maybe to Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler again. But there are some other good groups, like you've got Mandy Rose and Dana Brooks. Now, I'll be honest with you, I thought for years and years WWE, shockingly, were wasting another talent in Dana Brooks. I mean, Dana Brooks had everything going. She was quite well built, muscly for a female wrestler. She had that sort of, it was almost like a blonde-haired Chyna type of vibe about her. And they just wasted her, and she ended up jobbing for months in, months out. And then now she's come back into a tag team with Mandy Rose. They do look really, really sharp as a tag team. I don't know if you've seen much about
them. I try not to watch Raw, to be honest, because it's just.
I go for the highlights. I go for the highlights. Trust me, it's they can just about squeeze half an hour out of it. Yeah,
so 3 hours of TV.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the tag team division now in WWE for women's wrestlers is getting better. Dare I say it, I do think it's stronger than the male tag team division in WWE. I think that's been fairly poor for a while now, since we've had the demise of the Shield and the aforementioned Wyatt family. I think it's been on a steady decline, and the women have taken advantage of that, and thankfully Creative have allowed them to do that as well, which is good. Any others that you think we haven't mentioned, Gav, or we've only just sort of touched upon that you think need a bigger mention and are tipped for bigger and better things?
It's a tough one. Like, they've such a big roster that they're never going to get the push that half of them deserve anyway. So,
who do you think deserves a push that hasn't really been given that opportunity to shine so far? Do you think in any, Impact, New Japan, WWE, or AEW?
I don't think she's been given enough. Really, is Ruby Riott.
Ruby Riott's a good shout, yeah.
But it's just she's just been a boring extra person in the tag teams, that type of thing, since forever.
I think she has, hasn't she? I think she's been. Has she ever been a singles competitor?
Not in WWE.
Oh,
she's been.
I think she has she?
She has in other things she's been with, but it's always Riot Squad or with Liv Morgan and shit. It's just. Give her a chance on her own.
That's right, yeah, Liv Morgan as well. Absolutely. I was watching in the build-up to Christmas as well, Impact Knockouts Tag Team Tournament. And there was some absolutely wrestlers in that. I think some of the big mentions, Kira Hogan, definitely deserves a mention. Now, when I first heard the name, I thought, oh, crikey, please not related to that Hogan. But no, couldn't be further away from the family tree. She tried. Absolutely phenomenal. Really aggressive, but do you know somebody who can really boss that cocky heel sort of style and make it look almost natural? She's fantastic at doing that. Also as well, and she's been around in Impact for a while now, Rosemary. Now, she was back in the days of when it was sort of TNA wrestling was Rosemary, and she was part of the Crazy Steve, Abyss, James Mitchell type stable, where it's basically all the outcasts and the freaks all put together. But again, she's still hanging in there and still getting decent time. Madison Rayne as well is another one to watch out for on Impact, because although I think Impact, for me personally as a wrestling fan, is way beyond AEW and WWE in terms of what it could be doing on its shows. I mean, although we are in the midst of a pandemic and it's affecting all of the Western world, at least when you're watching WWE, they're making the effort with the Thunderdome with the TVs, and yes, they are playing piped-in crowd noise into it. AEW, they're socially distancing and testing a lot of the staff who are making up quite a lot of the crowd, and in some cases having crowds sat right far up into the tiers, socially distanced. But Impact, you can hear a pin drop.
Yeah, it's
There's
right. You can hear them talking.
No, and it doesn't feel. You can hear all the talking as well. And as we well know, in the world of professional wrestling and sports entertainment, there are times where during a match, opponents need to give each other clues and say things to each other to change it up and things like that. So hard to do when you can hear everything on there. But in terms of that,
unless you're John Cena and everyone hears it anyway.
Oh no, you're
not.
So loud. Do you know what I watched? Me and Vicky watched Daddy's Home 1 and 2 yesterday. Have you seen them? Have you seen them?
No.
They're great films, but John Cena makes a cameo in there as one of the kids' biological dads. Honestly,
John Cena.
Yeah, well, his name in it's Roger, but honestly, just watch it for the cameo because it's all about Mark Wahlberg thinking he's the man. And then he has to play a stepdad to John Cena's kid, and it's just brilliant. Just watch the chemistry on it; it's really good. But yeah, going back to Impact, when I'm watching it, I think it's affecting the male wrestlers more, not having a crowd there, than what it is the female wrestlers. I think the female wrestlers are just thinking, do you know what? There's no crowds here. They don't feel as pressurized to force a decent performance. So when you've got the likes of Deonna Purrazzo, Havoc, the facts that like Madison Rayne as well, Rosemary, Sue Young, who's really creepy so if you haven't seen much of her, and Taya Valkyrie's made a comeback as well, Kira Hogan. You look at them and you just think, do you know what? It's like these women are backstage just doing it for fun. So I think in one way the pandemic has really, really helped the female roster of Impact just as a wrestling fan. Have you had a chance to see much of sort of the female wrestlers on Impact?
I've only really been watching highlights of Impact because it's finding the time. We're spoiled for choice now. And with apparently coming to the UK and USA soon on TV.
I cannot
what am I going to do?
wait for that. I cannot wait for that, man. I mean, like you say, it's going to be wrestling overload. I mean, they're going to have to really, really choose carefully where they put New Japan Wrestling on during the week.
Tuesday and Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. And it'd be interesting because I don't know really too much about the female roster in New Japan Wrestling as well. I mean, obviously, one of the biggest things that's always been around in New Japan is the Bullet Club. And we've had Tama Tonga calling out the reformed original Bullet Club members of AEW saying there ain't no Bullet Club unless Tama Tonga's involved in it. Yeah. So it'd be interesting if they do get New Japan Bullet Club versus AEW/Impact Bullet Club. It'll be interesting. But I'm really, really keen to look out at what female wrestlers have got out there as well.
I want to make a prediction here for it, though. I want to say that them saying it's coming to the UK and the US is actually them being on Impact and AEW. I don't know if that's...
I mean, could you imagine? But could you imagine if that happened? Like you had 3 fronts all on the same network with an agreement that they all cross over at some point as well. Amazing. Can you imagine like the New Japan Bullet Club versus the Impact AEW Bullet Club members in a pay-per-view? Could you imagine how sick that would be? Like a 5-on-5, 6-on-6 stable match. It'd be absolutely immense. And then not to mention you've got the crossover of, which wrestlers are going to turn on their AEW colleagues or their New Japan colleagues or their Impact colleagues and defect. It could be like the WCW invasion.
Only good. Only
good. I mean that is a topic for another time. I mean, talk about something that had potential. I mean, that was like the Mario Balotelli of the wrestling world, wasn't it? That moment, all the gear but no idea. Just absolutely just. Well, I don't think you can mention how poorly that was put together.
It's
So
like
yeah,
older
so we're
Ronaldo.
almost sort of wrapping. Oh, go on, Gav. Yeah.
It's like Ronaldo, the original one. He was so good and he got fat.
Yeah.
Then he turned
Yeah.
to fat Ronaldo.
Mario Balotelli was really good until people allowed him to think for himself. You know what I mean? And that's when it all started going wrong. A bit like Vince McMahon when he bought out the WCW, but again, we'll cover that for another day. So,
shit.
Gav, good shit. So, top 3 female wrestlers in the world right now. Go.
Balls. They're all in WWE, I think.
Go for it.
Charlotte, Bayley, and Asuka.
Yeah. I think at the moment I'm going to go for Asuka. I'm going to go for Raquel Gonzalez. And I think I'm going to have to go for... It's going to have to be an AEW one. It's going to have to be.
I had to kick the boss out of the top 3 because
I think
it's a tough one, that.
I think I'm going to go for Shinzi from AEW because I think she's phenomenal. I think not only can she dish out a good beating and be very aggressive, very ruthless, but she can also take a good kicking as well. I've noticed there's plenty of matches that she's had against Nyla Rosa where she's taken a good beating, against Abaddon as well. So yeah, I'm going to go for Raquel Gonzalez. I'm going to go for Asuka. So Raquel Gonzalez from NXT, Asuka from Raw, and I'm going to go for Shinzi from AEW.
Good pick.
Bull predictions, and Gab. It is a really, really tough one, isn't it? I mean, I suppose if you had a top 5, it would be a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I've got my top 3 now. I don't want to try and change it around.
No. Bull predictions, then. Who is going to be the next female AEW champion?
Anna Banana. I think this is
Anna
the push she needs to be good, I think.
I think that's a good shout.
You can see your neck on TV.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All 3 of them.
It was It was almost like that program, The Stand, Stephen King, where they all start swelling up with that weird flu thing. So yeah, I think Anna Jay's a good shout. Number 99 of the Dark Order. That's something else I need to investigate. Yeah, but I need to investigate where they get the numbers from for the Dark Order because it just blows my mind. But anyway, that's another moment.
Was because it was one of Brody's favourite footballers. His number 18 team. Evil Uno, obviously, Uno being Spanish for one.
Yeah, he's been around for a while, hasn't he, though, Evil Uno as well.
What number is John Silver?
John Silver is he number 7?
I know 5's Alan Angels.
5's Alan Angels. 10
Prez.
Is
Precedence.
We're gonna have to look into this, Gab. We need to do some homework, don't we? I think the next AEW champion is gonna be. I'm gonna go now that she's made a comeback from injury. I'm gonna go Thunder Rosa.
That is a good
I think she will be the next AEW champion. Yeah. Okay then. Women's champion on Raw. Who is going to be the next women's champion?
John Silver's number 4.
He is, isn't he? John Silver is number 4. He is. Number 4, Silver.
And then there's the part-time as well.
Yes, that's right. So yeah, Gav, next Raw champion then, women's champion. Who do you think that's going to be? Or do you think that's really obvious?
Yeah, It's gonna be the Flair to get another title reign.
It's little Miss Woo herself in it, Charlotte Flair. I'm going to go for that all day long. And who is going to dethrone Sasha Banks from
Bayley
SmackDown?
again.
Do you think it's going to be Bayley again?
Yeah, because it's all to do with the same matches.
I'm
If
going to
they're
make a bold
creative,
prediction.
then it could be someone else, but you know they're going to go back to it.
I think because they've really hyped her comeback over the last 2 months, I think it's going to eventually going to go to Carmella. And I'll be honest with you, I don't get Carmella. I don't get the gimmick. I don't get her as a wrestler. So if there's going to be any negative point from this show, for me, I just don't get the push with Carmella. I think there are better female wrestlers on SmackDown than her. But that's who I'm going to go for in that one, definitely. So, Gav, we are almost at the end of the show now. Do we have anything else to announce before we close the first Piledriver podcast of 2021?
Yeah, we're going to have next week's show. We actually have a subject actually ahead of time. This is a first.
Woo!
This is a first,
boy.
I think.
Gav, tell our fans who are waiting with bated breath.
All three of them.
All thrice of them.
Well, next week we're going to be going down the little the tunnel of time called the Review of 2020. The wrestling,
Review?
not the shit show that 2020 was.
No, because we could just say, hey, COVID. There we are.
There we go,
And that's it for the full show. By the way, speaking
Easy.
of reviews of 2020 and COVID, have you seen the atrocious advert of WWE fighting 2020 as a wrestler,
Yes.
which is dressed up as COVID-style mucus?
Yeah, I thought it was a joke, but they're actually serious.
I thought it was a joke, but then again, when I first saw it, I thought it was a fan-made trailer. I thought somebody had just put it together. And
someone got paid to make that. Someone
yeah,
got
and
paid
it's
real dollar dues for that.
well, even worse than that. Somebody got timing a meeting to discuss that idea as well, around a table with other human beings.
And you just know that
yeah,
Vince will have had to approve it.
It's good shit. That's why.
Such
do you know
good
what I mean?
shit.
It's such good shit.
There goes the
yeah, so if you
PG
haven't seen that,
rating.
yay!
Well,
We've just
one
gone
shit
to.
bear show.
I think we've just stepped into PG-13 there. You know what I mean? I think we've just stepped into PG-13.
PG are allowed one shit.
Oh, is that all we're allowed? Oh man, we've gone into 12 zone now,
In
aren't
Home
we?
Alone, he says the word shit when he gets his shoe through the letterbox.
He does, doesn't he?
Mm.
Yes, Marv.
Yep.
Is it
He loses
Marv?
his shoe and goes, shit.
Yes,
Really quiet
that's
though,
right.
But you can hear it.
Yes.
And that's his one problem.
Great film, Christmas classic.
Completely irrelevant
so-
to the podcast, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah, but it's still a Christmas classic, and I've still got a Christmas hangover, so it's all good. So, in terms of that, then, so next week's show is going to be a recap, as Gav says, all about 2020 in the world of wrestling, the good, the bad, and everything in between. And what we're also going to do towards the end of that show, we agreed off air, is we're going to have a little 5-10 minute prediction slot as well, Gav.
Yep.
About who is going to make the grade, who we think in 2021, and who we think will have a spectacular fall from grace, not necessarily just because of their own abilities or lack thereof on the mic or in the ring, but because of creative issues as well. So who we think is going to make the grade and be given the chance to shine, and who we think may potentially jump ship to another promotion or simply fall back into the world of indie bookings.
I will
And
sum up
on
the
that
show
note,
for next
Gav,
week as well, though, just to save a bit of time in case anyone don't want to watch. Fuego del Sol's first match of the year was against Eric Rowan on Raw.
it really, really was.
His
And Gav,
last
you
match
showed
of
me
the
the
year
link of that.
Was cheering on Eric Rowan as he kicked people's
Yes.
asses.
That's right as well. And do you know what? That was an amazingly touching moment, wasn't it, on the Brody Lee tribute, having Eric Rowan come out there and
Redbeard.
shove Wardlow off. Yeah, good old Redbeard.
God, he made it.
Having
He
his
made him
plaque.
tiny. It was great, but he's 6'8".
I know. He's ridiculous, and he's an absolute
He's
beast,
like,
isn't he?
that was taller than me.
I know. He's an absolute beast, that Rowan. Do you know what? Although, again, not the most technically gifted wrestler, I still think there's an opportunity for him to do something on AEW. I think there's something that could give all Big Redbeard. I'd like to see him in there. Do you know what I mean?
That would be good.
I don't think he's going to be the people's champion in any way, shape or form, but I think it'd be nice to have him do some dark matches for the remainder of this year. I think it would be cool to see. It'd be nice. So, Gav, anything you want to end the show on in particular?
No, I've got no jokes. It's 2021. This 2020 was a joke. Was that good enough?
That is the best joke you've probably done. That's certainly the best joke you've given us all year on the podcast, Gav. So really well done. That's absolutely amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all shapes and sizes, thank you very much for your time today. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please, if we've neglected to mention any of the amazing female wrestlers, past, present, or indeed ones coming up through the ranks into the future, please drop us a comment. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/the Piledriver Podcast, I believe. Gab, is that right?
Along them lines, just search Piledriver Podcast on...
just search the Piledriver Podcast. And you can also find us on YouTube as well, the Piledriver Podcast. Leave us some comments. Let us know. What did we miss out? What did we mention that you enjoyed?
We're on Twitter, but it's just Piledriver P, because we ran out of letters.
Piledriver P on Twitter. Which, Gav, who liked one of your tweets through the Piledriver P Twitter page this past week?
Only the American Nightmare. Just him. Just Cody Rhodes.
I know it's only smoke and mirrors. Yes, Cody Rhodes himself, the American Nightmare. Cody Rhodes liked one of Gav's tweets. And to be fair, Gav, you've got a fair bit of traction from WWE and AEW stars. Excuse me, have you not? The likes of John Silver, you've had Goldberg as well. When we did our...
The man, Fuego.
That's it. Fuego.
I'm waiting for my t-shirt. It's in the post.
I so wanted him to beat Danny Lamb. Like, I genuinely thought that was going to be Fuego's first victory.
It should have been. He nearly got the Tornado DDT as well.
He nearly got the Tornado DDT, man. They better mention that on Being the Elite. They've got to mention it. And he has got to win via the Tornado DDT.
And getting put through a table on Dynamite, that made me sad.
Oh, that made me so sad. Just seeing him just getting blasted through a table. And Fuego as well. He wrestled Eric Rowan minus the mask, did he not, when he jobbed to him on Raw?
Yeah, don't watch it. Just you don't want to. You can't see his face. It ruins it.
No, it's a tragic comedy, but without the comedy.
Channel.
Yeah, but I don't think we can miss tonight's podcast without saying if people did not see Rey Fenix versus Kenny Omega for the title on New Year's Bash AEW, my days, if you want to watch two of the world's best wrestling performers just go at it and throw it. I mean, did you see how red Kenny's chest was and Ray's chest was just from the chops alone? Incredible. So guys, get yourself on that. And as always,
the match as well was the V trigger into Kip up into kicking him in the face. That was just smooth
just
as hell.
Incredible. I mean, honestly, Kenny Omega plays the heel well, but he's got the moves to back it up. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't hide behind his manager and dodge matches. I mean, this guy really, he's just worth every penny he gets paid. So check that out, guys. All the best for tonight's Piledriver Podcast, and tune in next week for the recap of 2020 and 2021 predictions. Ciao for now.